I'm going to put this blade in my best soldier blades playlist. I think it would be ideal in that philosophy of use. We're going to talk about that. Hey dudes, this is the Nutnfancy Knife Show within the Nutnfancy Project, TMP for short, year 7. Thanks for subbing, being a part of what goes on here day in, day out. It's time to make some vids for my knife dudes, review some of my favorites. I think this will be one of them. On the table is a Spyderco Phil Wilson South Fork model FB30 Golf, as in G. Now in past reviews, I've talked about what I refer to as classically designed blades. Both folding knives, fixed blade knives. When I say that, I'm talking about a knife like this. Look at how beautiful the lines are on the South Fork. Non-eclectic, as I've said before, non-ridiculous, non-trendy. It will stand the test of time. It's based on similar knives. I mean, a lot of knives borrow design traits from one another. That's been going on for eons. This is a classically designed, beautiful, and very capable knife, the Phil Wilson South Fork, and I love it. This will be pretty much a rave review. The only thing that I can hit the knife on is price. It's a little bit expensive for a factory knife, but we're even going to put that into perspective. Now, we all have different knife tastes, what we like, what we don't like. Again, for me, I like classic blades. Non-trendy year after year. Witness the South Fork. Let's jump back to philosophy of use real quick, because at the outset I said soldier blade. Yeah, it's expensive, and I guess I'll just say it now. It's around, I think, $230 to $250 street price, depending on where you get it. We'll talk about the steel, and that does add cost to the South Fork. You should know that by now. Steel is a very important additive to the value factor. But soldier knife, ideal. At least in the ways I think a soldier knife would be used. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you're new to the Nutnfancy Project, welcome, by the way. I'm referencing a knife not necessarily for killing bad guys. That's really not what I'm talking about. I think it will be used very little in that application. I'm talking about just doing what we do in the military day in, day out. Cracking open an MRE, light prying tasks, perhaps food preparation, utility knives, and something that is so light, so compact, and easy to integrate into load-bearing equipment, for instance. You'll forget you have it on your person until you need it. Great soldier blade, this one is. I just love it. One reason is because even with a Kydex sheath, which we'll visit here a little bit more in depth, 7.8 ounces for the South Fork. That is an achievement. You can credit, by the way, and I'm kind of jumping ahead to looking at the blade, is the thinness of the blade, which I like. And I think Phil Wilson, the designer, does as well. He integrates that into some of his custom fillet knives, by the way, which I have looked at and researched a little bit, and they look excellent. For folks who do a lot of fishing, he actually has a website. Phil Wilson is a custom knife maker. I do not know him personally. He's friends with a lot of people in the industry like Wayne Goddard, Ed Shimp, who I do know, great dude, Bill Harsey, and on and on. Go look at his bio. Only makes about 4 to 5 knives a month, he says. 3 to 12 month waiting list for his customs. For instance, a knife that has similar lines like this currently available on his website will probably be gone soon, which is a cool looking blade. I haven't seen it in person. But I would think, going back to philosophy of use, to have a knife that is basically a produced custom knife would be special. You know, not even counting its utility, which, as we're going to see, is going to be excellent. I think it is first and foremost, we're still talking POU here, briefly, it's first and foremost designed as a camp knife. Now, when we get to this application, we got to be real in that we separate first kind of cool and second kind of cool, right? First kind of cool is the ability to perform in its role. Second kind of cool is, like I've been pretty much doing is that the knife just turns you on because of its lines. Its construction, its quality, how it feels in hand, all that stuff. And this knife possesses second kind of cool for me personally. But as a camp knife, you do not have to spend $230, $250 to get outstanding performance. I've reviewed a lot that will do just great. Gerber Big Rock would be a great example. Stainless steel blade. Is it the best steel around? No. Is the price right? Absolutely. Did it perform in batoning and all the tasks we do in camp? Food preparation? Yes, it did. Kindling? Yes. You might throw in a bushcrafter philosophy of use, although this is an FFG, not Scandi grind, which true bushcrafters seem to prefer. But, if we enlarge the term bushcrafting, in other words, you're just, using a knife with whatever you need to use it for up there, building traps, making notches, fuzz sticks, which, like I've said before, I don't waste my time doing. I'll use some chemical, get it going. But if you do, this knife would be great for it. POU. I also think because a sheath is so rockin', because a knife is so light, I'd say EDC blade. Yeah, it's 4.8 inches long, this blade. Might be a little bit long for, just a utility knife, a fixed blade utility knife. But I think some guys do it, and I actually like seeing it. I think when guys run around with fixed blades, I respect it. I think it's cool. And generally it's someone who uses a blade a lot. Maybe in his trade, and it's just really quicker to get to a fixed blade, and you don't have to ever worry about the knife folding on you, lock failure. There's some simplicity that goes along with that choice. Great choice for an EDC blade. Maybe a little bit on large size, what I said before. Another one, this is going to be an interesting philosophy of use. I don't know if I've ever talked about this. A canoe knife. No, not in the terms of case canoe knife, but in the terms of a boating knife, a river knife. I have seen some, likewise, classically crafted water blades, as I'll call them, and there's just a couple out there. There's one that I'm really trying to find for you guys. I couldn't remember the name. This knife reminds me of it, though, and it's just a gorgeous blade. For that, it is a stainless steel, so it would work in the water. I don't know about salt water, but regular water, if you maintain it, good enough. It'd be excellent. It's slim, lightweight, easy to put in a waterproof duffel, food preparation, all the other stuff you'll do when you get to the shore and camp. Canoe knife. And then collectible. Here's the box, by the way, on the Spyderco Phil Wilson South Fork. I think like a lot of Spydercos, like the Hossams, it will be collectible. And surprisingly, and you've seen this over the years, even these factory-produced blades will go up in value. Witness the Spyderco Barong, which I raved about. And then it's been gone for a while. And if you go and look for the price on that knife, it's a folder, the Barong, edge shim design. Yeah, it's up there. It's more than it was when it came out. Will this knife do this too? If I had to, make a decision on that, I would say yes, it will. I think it will. Collectible knife. It's just a really cool collectible knife. And again, if you're a fan of Phil Wilson's work, you like his custom work, I don't really think you can go wrong with this knife. And you're going to get it at about half price. Well, maybe not quite half, but near half price of his other blades. And then we talked about soldier blade. I wouldn't say tactical use. And although I'm saying soldier blade, I think I explained what I meant by that. It could be used in a self-defense role. It doesn't have a great guard on it, nor does it have jimping. And the G10 handle does not afford, amazing traction. So it wouldn't be my first choice. There's so many other knives I'd rather have than this if I get in a freaking knife fight, heaven forbid. Weight, again, is a svelte 7.8 ounces. The balance really is perfection, according to my way of perceiving such. Feel is amazing. And I want to jump ahead to the handle. Look at how smooth and rounded this handle is. Oftentimes in a review, I'll criticize it when they get it wrong. There's sharp corners. There's sharp transitions. I don't see any of that on the Phil Wilson. It's just, smooth, rounded, no hot spots. And getting back to the camp, maybe even bushcrafting, the larger definition of bushcrafting philosophy of use, such a handle will be comfortable in hand for extended periods, I would think. I didn't hard test this knife. Not going to put wear and tear on it. We bought this for a review. May sell it because, I don't know, I need money for more knives to review. I'll cry if I let this one go, though. It's that awesome. Weight, balance, and feel, superb. The steel is superb. Contributing to the cost again, I alluded to that earlier, S90V. It's a crucible metals steel. Fine grain, high wear resistance, microstructures, very fine. Stuff you already know about S90. If you want to know more, look it up. There's all types of information out there. I can't really tell S30V from S90 in practical use. Not yet. Everything dulls, in my opinion. But I like it. It's been a little bit harder for me to sharpen. I spend a little bit more time in the Edge Pro Apex when I hit it. Look at that tip on here. Really fine tip. Full flat ground. There's that classical approach once again. And I like how he has this flat portion here. I don't know about you, but I use a consistent angle sharpener like the EPA, like I was mentioning. And with that, I can rest the blade here. I have a consistent presentation to my sharpener. And if and when I need to change this relief edge, I can do so. As opposed to a knife that doesn't have this, it's completely tapered. You're just going to have to adjust your angle and then make a record of where it was, because I don't know about you, but when I'm in the Edge Pro Apex or whatever sharpener you use, I love that one, I leave it at the same angle, you know, top of the yellow is where I'm sharpening usually. And then if I come to a knife where I've adjusted, I go, oh, where was I on that again? And it's hard to remember unless you make a note of it. Spidey hole right here, Phil Wilson's signature on here. When I first looked at this, because you guys know I signed my blades Nutnfancy often, just to test the steel, and I was like, God, I forgot I signed this one. It's not mine, it's Phil. And it's engraved. It's probably machine engraved. But I thought that's cool. His signature kind of looks like mine in the way he makes his letters. I feel sorry for you, Phil. Seek counseling immediately. I love the FFG, though. Love it, love it, love it. It's just such a beautiful slicing machine. And I think that's what this will do. Great steel, too. S90V, I think, is a great choice. It does contribute cost. I think I made that point. The handle is a win. There's a big lanyard hole right there, dudes. Polished green micarta. I like that as well. I like it. I think that kind of goes towards the woods theme that the South Fork is intended for. It's a woods blade. So they're talking about, and then onto the sheath. It's Bolteron, i.e. plastic. Has a G-clip. G-clip. I like those. It's super lightweight. Doesn't retain water. It drains. It's perfection. How do you improve upon it, this sheath? You don't. And it's included. So you don't have to go hunting around to find one. Leather sheaths are nice for collectability. For a second, kind of cool. But dude, seriously, I'll take this sheath. And listen to the snap. Oh. The sheath, the knife is excellent, but the sheath, in my opinion, puts it over the top. I get excited about a sheath this well crafted, this lightweight. It's always been that way. Can you integrate that into Molly, Nutton? It's a little bit wide for a Molly space. You could cut it, actually, and I have done that before. So you have a split G-clip, and that will launch and hold and lock into a Molly webbing. So you could do that. Hey, if you buy this for a soldier of some type, or if you deploy with it, you better hide it, because someone's going to steal it. I mean, if you leave it on your LBE, yeah, it happens. It's sad that it happens, but I've talked to my buddies deployed, and they're like, yeah, I turned around 2 seconds, my Leatherman was gone, my knife was gone. It sucks. Phil Wilson's custom knives, no doubt, are amazing. They're handmade, like all custom makers. He puts a lot of thought and effort into it. And as such, those knives should have and feature outstanding quality and durability. But so does this company. In fact, I can't really remember a Spyderco knife that didn't have superb quality. Not to say there aren't some issues here and there. There are. Every knife manufacturer will have this. This lock is malfunctioning. This clip falls off. I just sent a knife back to Spyderco, for instance, because there's a clip issue. Like the screw stripped out. And I just said, hey, can you replace it? They will. They're good about that. But the durability, I think, with the S90V steel on this, as we've seen in some Microtechs, which I have hard used a lot, those blades I've reviewed, should be phenomenal. Great rust resistance, great edge retention, great shock capability. If you baton with it, and I have no doubts this will baton just fine within the limits of its blade. For instance, it is somewhat more narrow right here, like we've pointed out and looked at in detail already. I wouldn't like take a log on this and just like start smacking at something outside of its capabilities. But for light kindling prep, absolutely. And I've thumped on so many stainless blades. You guys seen them over the years on the video. I have no doubts this will perform. I wonder if they'd ever come out with it in VG10 steel. It would be a lot less money. Kind of like this knife, and this is kind of jumping ahead to some competitive options. And my guys always love it when I do this, competitive options. And I got a lot to show you. On this knife, just because I love the genre so much, the lightweight stainless steel camp knife, it excites me. No. Temperance 2. Oh, dudes, we haven't talked about this one forever. This is a great knife. The only criticism I could level at this, and did, is that it was a little bit pricey. VG10 steel, so full flat ground. And it's an interesting, it's an interesting thing to put these two knives side by side and look that overall they're very similar in size. In presentation, they're very different. On the Temperance 2, you have the jimped thumb ramp, which I love, adding to control, lending a tactical philosophy of use, if you would want to do that. I don't remember if I criticize this, the little hump out here. I don't generally like that. I like what the South Fork has, a clean handle back here. That way, if I want to choke down the handle, I can. If I want to go reverse grip, I can. You can still do it around the Temperance 2, but I don't know. It's just me. I like the traction of the Temperance 2 a little bit better. On the micarta, the canvas micarta, and when wet, it gives more traction. I thumped on this knife, actually. This earned its weight out there. Look at the differences and thicknesses on the Temperance 2 and the South Fork, by the way. I like the thinness of the South Fork. I've said that. This knife has been excellent, though. The Temperance 2 is still a great knife. Really a gorgeous knife, too. How about some other competitive options? These might get a little bit weird. For instance, I love just throwing a loop to you guys, man. Here you go. How about the Cold Steel Outdoorsman Light? What? Nothing. Dude, that's like totally not even in the same league. I know. It's just funny. What is this, like 12 cents to buy? I'm kidding. It's cheap. It's like 18 bucks or something. Cold Steel Outdoorsman Light. It's in that 4116 Krupp, which I'm not too super stoked on. It's like pressed and formed, apparently. 6.8 ounces total weight, with an adequate, albeit very unimpressive, pocket sheath. No doubt made in China. This one is made in Taiwan, though. The South Fork. And some people don't dig that. They're like, hey, $230 knife. Make it in the USA. I understand that. I'm kind of in that school of thought myself. Said as much. This is a great knife, though, and I bring it on the table to show you. First, kind of cool. Meaning, hey, would this knife perform any better than this knife for the tasks we're talking about? Probably not to most people. I'm not talking about edge holding, but I'm just saying cutting stuff and getting stuff cut. A good way to test that is give the two knives to people who don't know blades, that have no preconceived notions about steels, about reputations, and have them use the two knives and be prepared to be shocked about what they say. Try it sometime with a really cheap knife and a really good knife. When I mean cheap, I mean affordable, not necessarily not capable, because this knife, the Outdoorsman Light, very capable within the limitations of its steel. And you may be surprised to go, yeah, I like this one better. Well, why? Well, I like the rubber handle. That's the world of non-knife people. It's great. I like seeing that feedback because it kind of squares us away sometimes, because we go out on into left field sometimes with our preferences. I don't know. We just do. We're knife dudes. What can we do? We're sick. How about this? SOG Seal Pup Elite. Come on down. Dudes, we haven't seen this one for a long time in the project. Yeah, it's still here. Cast member. Haven't used it in a long time, though, this knife. I think it's been since High Skies. Circa 2010, maybe. This is a great knife. The SOG Seal Pup Elite. It's only 8.8 ounces. OS 8 cryo-treated steel. 50 bucks. Last time I checked, jimped. The beautiful SOG buoy shape. Bigger handle on the Elite version. I love that. I reviewed this knife. Look it up if you want to know about it. With an awesome sheath. Just as capable as this knife in most ways. Says me. Same second kind of cool? Nah. Probably not. Depending on what your approach is. This is actually more of a tactically crafted blade, right? So it has a SOG legend to it. It's kind of marketed to operators. You guys get it. Next, oh, dudes. Oh my gosh, I love this knife. And I'm so glad they brought it back. I've been beating the drum here in the Nutnfancy project for years for them to bring it back. Say hello to the Spyderco. Fred Perrin. They call it now the Street Buoy. But when I got this back in, what was it, like 2002? It was just called the Fred Perrin. This is an awesome blade. Awesome blade. Here's one reason why. It only weighs 5.9 ounces. So it's even lighter than the South Fork. With the Tech Lock, where's its sheath? It's going to weigh a little bit more. So I have the Tech Lock on for some LB integration. It's 6.6 ounces. VG10 steel. And look at that freaking edge I put on it. Oh, dudes. Yeah, I'm getting excited. I went to about 1,000 grit on that. It's Duracoated. I think it's in Magpul. That's actually Blackhawk Cody tan, I believe. Great knife. I mean, that lock and choil here. It's got jimping on the top. This is a knife, dudes, you just should have. I mean, it's going to be a fraction of what the South Fork is. This, and it's just as capable, in my opinion. And it has a tactical philosophy of use. It locks in so well. It's actually a Fred Perrin martial arts special. That's what it's intended for. And it's just kind of, oh, by the way, that it's an awesome camp knife, too. And soldier blade. And gift blade. The Fred Perrin Street Buoy. I reviewed this, I think, back in 2008. And this will be my updated review on this knife as well. So awesome. With an excellent sheath. Same thing. Locks in there. This one has kind of worn, so it doesn't snap in so securely. I don't know if I'd run around with it unsecured upside down, but right side up, no problem. And the way I've woven it into Molly is just with some emptied 550 core. South Fork versus a Fred Perrin Street Buoy. Which one? This is a cool blade. I mean, this is more of a woods blade and all the things I'm talking about. You decide. Another SOG, Northwest Ranger, running in a beautiful Red Hill Kydex sheath in Digicam. Superbly crafted Red Hill Kydex. Look at my channel page about section. You'll see all my links to the manufacturers. Nutnfancy discount code for that, by the way. Pop that sucker open. Goes right onto a belt, Molly. This is probably my favorite overall attachment method. That American Sportsman one that's on here is another one. It's just not sized for Molly. It's real secure, real lightweight. The Kydex sheath for the Northwest Ranger will add weight, but it blows away the factory sheath. Northwest Ranger, though, only 9.8 ounces. That's with a Kydex, and it's $55. Yeah, inadvertent smell took off with my other one to Afghanistan. He still hasn't returned it. He came back safe and sound, but he didn't. He was like in the Marines. Got shot at. He was a Motor T guy, I think. I just let him have it. I was like, dude, just keep it. So this one's kind of newish. Great knife, though. Squared off against the South Fork. Which one's better? First kind of cool, I would probably give the nod to the Northwest Ranger. Yeah, it's got jimping, craton handle. Just excellent. I love it. And I've used the Northwest Rangers up there a lot. I'm always impressed with them. See if I got any more on the table. I think that's it. I got some others that I'll show in a different review. Now, most of the knives that I have on the table that I've shown you obviously are going to be less expensive than this one, the South Fork. But none of them are in S90V steel. None of them are custom collaborations. They're factory knives. So that generally will cost. I mean, they're going to pay a stipend or whatever it is, you know, a portion of the profits to Phil Wilson. That brings the cost up. I mean, you're supporting a U.S. knife maker. You're supporting a U.S. knife company, Spyderco. You're getting awesome materials. Awesome sheath. There's really nothing I can fault this knife for. Hey, Nutnfancy, you didn't fault it for not having jimping? No, actually I didn't. Not on this knife because, again, it's a true classic woods blade. You know, it really is. And, you know, aesthetically, some knives, you know, putting jimping on it just wouldn't be right. I get it. Highly recommended. High on my likability factor. I love this knife. It's fabulous. Just a little bit costly. That's my review. Tune in for more. See ya.